Let's bring in Chicago resident Cata Truss, who sued the city over its handling of the migrant crisis. Thank you so much for joining us. First up, what was your reaction to the president's words there?
I felt good. I felt positive. I felt that change is on the horizon. One of the things that I just want to say to Americans is pray for President Trump, pray for this administration, pray for this country. I think that if we're all on the same accord, you know, you've heard people talk a lot about in the last couple of days about peace, about love, about protections, about the good of the country. And I want us to keep those things at the forefront of the focus as we begin to see a lot of the things that President Trump wants to do here in America, those mandates pushed. And in terms of the migrant crisis here in Chicago, we're excited. We're excited to see that something is about to happen, that there's about to be a change. We cannot continue to hemorrhage money in this city the way that we have been. I do have some concerns, though, about the fact that I do know that city officials here are holding classes to teach migrants how to avoid ICE or how to evade ICE, basically teaching illegals how to be more illegal, if you will. That's troubling for me, but I have complete faith and confidence in Tom Homan and in our current president, so I'm excited for what's to come.
All right, so you mentioned Tom Homan. He brought up Chicago earlier when he was on this program, Caught 4-5 guys. This was Homan talking about how he's working up a target list. Listen.
We've been working up the target list. There was some discussion about Chicago because the Pacific operational plan was released. So we had to look at and reevaluate, does this raise officer safety concerns? And it does. But we've addressed that, and teams are all effective today.
Okay, so how confident are you that they're going to right the ship there in Chicago that's been dealing with this crisis?
I'm very confident. I am confident in this administration. I am confident in Tom Homan getting things done. And I am confident that the Chicagoans are going to step up. We're ready to assist in any way we can. There are those of us who are willing to work with this administration to make sure that people who are here illegally are sent back home. We want to also make sure that those criminals who came here to set up their criminal operations, again, are sent home. And so whatever we have to do as Chicagoans to assist with that, we're ready and willing to help.
Okay. Here is more from President Trump vowing to take back our cities. Okay, CF1, guys.
I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities.
All right, so he is making some big promises here. I want to ask you about what people are saying on the ground there in Chicago. We know this is a Dem-led city. We know there are a lot of, Democrat voters in that town. Are you hearing people come around on these policies, seeing the problems that that city has had?
Well, here's the thing that people, I think, fail to understand about Chicagoans is that most of us are not okay with what is happening. Most of us are not okay with the migrant crisis. And in spite of what you may hear our mayor and Governor Pritzker say about how Chicagoans feel and where we stand, we are not happy about what is happening here. So we're excited that President Trump is in office. We are excited that Tom Homan and his team is coming here to help us out of this mess that our mayor and governor seem to be content on keeping us in.
Yeah, but on that point, the governor of your state says that Trump's scaring people. So is that true?
No, not at all. Not at all. And let me tell you something. I think that what has to happen, and not that I want to help the Democrats at all, but keep in mind, people either voted overwhelmingly for Trump or they stayed home. And the fact that people did that, those 4 people who stayed home and didn't show up to vote, it was still an attack on that party, on that Democratic Party. You had triple the number of people who did not show up to vote this election. So that should say to you, people are not happy with this. So in spite of what you may hear our governor say, the people are quite okay with what's happening.
Understood. Always appreciate when you can join us. Thank you very much for your time today.
Thank you.
All right.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.